BetUS, America's favorite sports book where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. They have the best bonuses in the industry. Get a 125% sign-up bonus with my link in the description box below. And to celebrate their 30-year anniversary, they're giving away up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out, play smart, join now, BetUS, where the game begins. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show here on a Sunday. It's a Sunday today, Eric. It was a snowed-in day in the Portland area. Second day in a row. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the weather if you're up here with us. But we were able to enjoy some basketball a little bit tonight, Eric, because the Blazers only lose by 11, which is a far better loss than their last 6 losses, which were all by at least 21 points. And the Blazers were even more shorthanded today without Jeremy Grant, without Matisse Thybulle, without DeAndre Ayton, of course. He's just perpetually questionable and not playing. But you had some good moments.
Either.
No Brogdon as well. So, a game that I did not expect to be competitive in the slightest. And it was pretty competitive. The Blazers had a 5-point deficit there in the fourth quarter. You had fun performances from Ryan Ruper and Chris Murray. So we get to say some good things about those two guys tonight because those guys looked pretty good as well. Scoot Henderson, 33 points, 11 for 31. It's going to be an interesting conversation around his game tonight. Anthony Simons still, I don't know, polarizing as ever. This is going to be a fun stream. I'm actually looking forward to the stream. It's not going to be like pulling teeth like some of those awful losses. But before we jump into things, once again, thank you to our sponsor, BetUS. Use that link in the description box below to receive a 125% sign-up bonus. If you wanted to get in on NFL games, there's 2 tomorrow. Finally got a good NFL game that just ended with Detroit and the LA Rams. Detroit moving on. So if you want to get in on action tomorrow, you can win Super Bowl tickets. If you place a bet on any NFL game, it's a minimum of $25, and then share that bet slip on Twitter. And then on that Twitter post, all you have to do is tag at BetUS_official and tag the friend you'd invite and use the hashtag BetUSLVIII, and you're automatically entered to win Super Bowl tickets. Super easy to win Super Bowl tickets. If the instructions are a little confusing for you, you can always message me on Twitter or on Discord if you're trying to go to the Super Bowl in Vegas, which is Eric's favorite city, by the way. So shout out to BetUS for hooking up that giveaway. Shout out to them for sponsoring the channel as well. Anyway, Eric, where do you want to start with this one? Because we can start with some coaching things, especially the first half defense. We can start with, Ruper talking about his good play, but then also him getting subbed out late, not finishing the game when maybe he should have. We can talk about a bunch of different things, so I'll kind of give you the option of what we start off with here.
I'd rather just talk about generic. What do you want to see when you watch the Blazers this season? And mostly in the first half, and for parts of the second half, was exactly what I've been saying when I say I don't mind losses as long as it's because we are doing things a certain way. The defense was going to suck tonight. We had no good defenders, really, unless you want to count, Repair off the bench. But for the most part, when you play Scoot and Anthony, the amount of minutes you played tonight, it's going to be hard with Reith at center to have a great defensive effort. So that wasn't really my main concern. I am still a little frustrated with the zone defense, or how much we think it's effective and it's not. Giving up wide open threes pretty much every time we're in it. But I love the ball movement. The ball wasn't sticking. They were moving it around the perimeter. They were cutting. They were getting out and pushing the pace a little bit in the first half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they couldn't play defense, but offensively, I thought that's what I've been wanting to see from this team, even in losses like this one. Just a good team effort where the ball's moving around, everyone touches it, everyone feels like they're a part of the offense. And then when they have to take a shot like Ruper or Chris Murray or whoever, they're not like they haven't not touched the ball in 2 minutes and are comfortable out there. And I think it showed in our shooting percentages tonight. Everyone, I mean, outside of Scoots, 11 for 31, pretty much everyone else seemed like they were really in the flow of the game. They come in and were doing good things, and then that leads to them trying a little harder on defense or something. And so I just felt much more enjoyable watching this kind of effort. Now, the Suns not playing a very good game definitely contributed to that a little bit, helped keeping this game within reach at points. But I feel like tonight is exactly what I want to see the rest of the season moving forward. Good competitive basketball where you're seeing a team that's really trying out there and giving its all, but also losing the game, and that's okay.
Yeah. For me, I want to see them try and play the right way. I want to see them play... Sorry, ESPN ad. I want to see them play team offense. I want to see them share the ball. I want to see them try and get good shots, work to get good shots instead of just settling. The offense, I had really no complaints. Like, I thought some of the sets they ran, the sets were better. I don't know. There's a couple sets they ran where it seemed like a little more structured, or maybe players didn't deviate early within the sets.
Or it didn't just stick when you passed a certain player and they dribble the ball for 10 seconds.
Yeah, the offense just looked different tonight. It was kind of strange to me. Maybe it's not coincidence because you didn't have Brogdon and Grant today, and those are maybe the two biggest ball stoppers on this team. They're talented for sure, but they stop the ball. Me and Gabe were talking because I was on Suns Valley Podcast live stream during this game, their watch party during this game, and at halftime, I said, I have no complaints with the offense, which is rare considering the point totals that we were putting up, especially failing to score more than, 93 points in our past 3 games. Mm-hmm. And now you're missing more offensive talent. But that's the thing for me that has bothered me when people say, they don't have the talent to move the ball, they don't have the players to move the ball. Like, I understand if they don't have the players to execute it, but they should be trying to. They should be working on it because that's the type of stuff players need to get better at playing within the flow of an offense, and it'll be easier for certain guys to play within the flow of the offense. If we ran iso ball all game, if we played offensively the same way we did the past 3 games, we probably don't score 70 points tonight. Like, we were struggling mightily to score with more offensive talent than we had tonight. But tonight, you've seen them move the ball, and to your point, players had rhythm. And you had a couple drives from guys where they were able to catch the ball and the defense wasn't set and there was a lane for them to attack and it was easier for them to drive and get into the paint, make something happen. The execution wasn't necessarily great, at least shooting from 2. We shoot 45% from the field, but 47.6% from 3. So part of this is this team shot really well from 3, and that's always going to make everything look better. But as far as like around the rim, Scoot goes 6 for 22 from 2. That's pretty bad. We'll talk about him later. He forced some looks, forced some mid-range, to me, it's fine if you struggle scoring the ball but are trying to move, are trying to make the right play with a young team, because when they get better, they'll start making more of these shots, more of these opportunities will start paying off. So I'm fine with failing to execute but trying to do the right thing. The problem is, during that entire road trip, the problem I had was they weren't even trying to do the right thing. They weren't working the ball, they weren't moving, they didn't look like they looked tonight. And when you talk about youth and the youth excuse that's been pushed on this team for how their offense looks, this was the most youth we had in any game all year. In the offense, just in terms of being in the flow of things, moving the ball, looked better than it's looked like in quite a while. So That's why I've never bought that excuse. And I was happy with the offense tonight for sure.
Tyler King says, Chauncey lowered the bar so much that when we still play bad, people think we're improving. Master manipulator.
We played less bad. we played much better than we've played the last 3 games for sure.
But this is what, the argument is, right? even when games where we're healthy and play bad, it's that we're young and we don't have a good team, right? Tonight we actually can have that argument, right? We have 8 guys in uniform. They have KD, Beal, and Booker, and Nurk, and Grayson Allen. Their whole starting lineup's healthy and playing. And we're starting Reith, Jabari Walker, and Tamani Kamara. We weren't supposed to win this game. We shouldn't have even been this close. So I don't know if that's just the Suns sucking or us playing better than we should have or what, them taking us lightly. But this is an actual game where you can say, we were outmanned, man. We agree. We would have had no business if we stole this game from the Suns. It would have been an incredible victory. I think they played about as good as they could have played under the circumstances. So I'm not going to get too upset over anything that happened in this particular game because of that.
There was a play, and it was not like a monumental play because we ended up missing the shot, but there is a play that kind of exemplifies this in a way for me. I don't know if you noticed this, and this is such a small thing that we shouldn't have to point out and feel good about, but we've seen so little of it, it jumped out to me. There was a play there, I think it was in the 4th quarter. Let me find it. I'm on NBA.com looking at it. But there was a play where the Blazers were down 113-107, 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. And Scoot Henderson is ISOing against KD. Everybody's standing around. Nobody's doing anything. Until Ryan Ruper comes in and sets a flare screen on Devin Booker to get Chris Murray open for 3, and Chris Murray was wide open.
Yep.
Do you know what play I'm talking about?
Yeah, it rimmed out from the corner, right?
No, Scoot just drove and that was the play he got blocked by Nurk with that little scoop shot.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one Chris shot from the corner.
No.
Okay.
But it was I want to link the play if possible.
Yeah, I know which one he got blocked, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was a play there in the 4th quarter with 6:06 remaining. If you guys find it, then props. I wish we could show footage. But there was a play where Ruper, it's not a part of a set, it's freelance because everybody's standing around. Scoot Henderson's ISOing, and Ruper goes and sets a flare screen for Chris Murray, and if Scoot just read the play and made the pass, it would have been wide open. And it was why are we acting like youth means you can't go and set a screen? This dude is the youngest guy on the team, Ruper is. He has the least NBA experience. He has less NBA experience, I think, than Justin Minaya, who's on a 2-way contract where Ruper is just on a normal NBA contract as a rookie at the end of our roster. But this dude comes and sets a flare screen. Chris Murray was hitting threes. It was on Scoot to make that pass and see that. But I also couldn't blame Scoot for driving into traffic and getting his shot blocked with KD and Nurk draped over him, because all year, whoever has the ball is just expected to go make something happen. Mm-hmm. They're not expecting somebody to set a good off-ball screen and a flare pass to be available. And it's youth is not the excuse for that. It's sad. It's sad, Eric. I got so hyped that he just set a flare screen outside of a set.
I may be misremembering this, but I believe Scoot got into the same position that very next play and kicked it out, and that's when Chris got the actual open 3 in the corner and missed it. But I think he did learn from that, and the next time that happened at least once this game where Scoot did that. He went into traffic. I don't remember if it was that specific play. Did something bad, and then the next play he actually did kick it out. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so basic, but we just don't do it, and then you get in a guy who's 19 years old with very low NBA experience, and he just sets a screen like that.
It's supposed to be
a
Ross player, yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. That's not an excuse. This stuff needs to be preached. Where if a guy's isolating one-on-one, you got 3 players on one side of the court, set a back screen, set a flare screen, screen away, just do something. Because all season long, it's been defenses have been able to load up on drive after drive after drive. It's part of the reason why Shaedon Sharp's finishing at the rim is down 15 percentage points or something crazy, right? Because the paint is just absolutely packed. And you can sit here and say, we have no shooting. But you can set a screen for a shooter. And the thing is a lot of defenses just ball watch especially against isolation-heavy offenses, especially against a team like ours where they're maybe not 100% locked in because we suck. You gotta set those things. You gotta preach those things, and that's been my problem the entire year. Is it's pretty clear like it's not being preached enough because our players just aren't even doing anything. Like possession after possession after possession, weak side of the floor, off the ball. It's just everybody standing around. And in a game like this, we did a better job. Look, we score 116 points when we didn't have Grant, didn't have Brogdon.
Maybe they are doing that in the G League because that's Ryan and Chris have both spent some time down there. They come back up and I don't think it's a coincidence that they're two of our better cutters tonight and got some easy baskets or good shots based off that movement.
Yeah, 100%.
What did you think about Ryan getting taken out of the game, though? After he just hit 2 threes, he was playing great. We know it's not a tired issue, right? Because he's been playing major minutes in the G League. Like, what did you think of Chauncey's decision to go back to Tamani, who had been not very good tonight, and take Ruper out, who had kind of helped spur the comeback?
I hated it, Eric. Like, you're playing to develop. This dude hasn't gotten a chance all year. He finally gets a chance. He's 3 for 3 from 3, 4 for 5 from the field. He's confident. I know he made a couple like really bad defensive mistakes, but when a dude's 19 years old with like no NBA experience, that's going to happen. You let him play through it. You coach him. You develop him. That's what the season is all about.
Yeah.
This dude, like, some fans will look at this like, oh, he's not that good. Why are you tripping if he gets taken out? He's 3 for 3 from 3. He's playing confident. He was supposed to be a bad shooter coming into the league. His jump shot was broken coming into the league. He shot the 3 ball great in the G League, and I've been wondering, okay, if he gets to the NBA, is he going to struggle? He gets like his first real taste of meaningful NBA minutes, and he's 3 for 3 from 3. Like, is this dude a sniper? I don't know. Like, his shot looks good, though. And when you look at a player with his tools, that's the type of wing that the Blazers should be in love with in terms of developing. He's not ready to play now. He's probably still a couple years away, but he can handle the ball a little bit. He has a crazy, crazy wingspan. Apparently, he grew an inch since we drafted him, and he's hitting threes like that, and he moves well. Like, that's a great developmental piece. So in a game like this where he hits back-to-back threes, he kind of got us back into this game. He and Chris Murray. I'm going to say good things about Chris Murray tonight. And then he gets taken out. Ridiculous. There was a play where he was open from 3 after he made those like 2 threes, and he was like frustrated he didn't get the ball. Like, he wanted the ball. He's playing against Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Like, I love that he was not like a deer in the headlights at all. Like, he was ready to go. He was ready to go. He came through, hit threes, hustled, played hard, and he gets taken out of the game, and then we immediately like let the Suns go on a run and we lose. Like, what's the point of taking him out? Why? I did not understand that. So I hated it. What'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Tamani's a rookie too, so you don't mind him playing, but it's one of those things where, once again, like, does Chauncey just not have a feel for that? Like, is he too set on bringing a starter back in at a certain point, or like what's the deal? Did something happen? Did Ruper ask out or something? I don't get it, because
I don't think Ruper asked out. He wanted.
Right.
Like, you could tell he wanted it.
Yeah. Normally I would say Tamani tonight would have been our best defender, right? And so you have to have him out there for defense or whatever, but I don't even think he played that good at defense in this game either, so it's not like he was doing anything. I thought maybe if you were going to sub, put Jabari back in there, because Jabari had been playing really well and for some reason sat a ton in this game. I don't know how many minutes he ended up playing. Let me look. But I felt like he sat way too long, and then it was like, well, is he ever going to put Jabari back in? He only played 29 minutes tonight in a game where he started and played well. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought tonight, if you're coaching on feel, it just seemed like this was the game you should have just left that lineup in. That they cut the lead to 4 actually at one point, and just let them ride it out to finish the game. And I don't like, it's not just a Chauncey thing. I just don't like when coaches mess with the lineup that brought you back into the game.
Yeah, 100%, especially in a lost season where you're focused on development and you're probably going to lose anyway. Like,
Yeah.
just roll with it. Just roll with it. I understand if you're a winning franchise playing a good team and you want to get your stars back in that get it done on a night in, night out basis. The thing is, no players on this team get it done on a night in, night out basis, so you should always be rolling with the lineup that gets you back into a game in the fourth quarter, even if it's bench guys, even if it's Ryan Ruper. So I didn't really understand that. Curious if he got asked about it in his post-game press conference, but Ruper was good. Ruper was good tonight. And I want to, I know it's Brant's breakdown, but I have a breakdown of my own. I've just been taking screenshots because I really want to show this play.
Yeah.
I'd like not to make too big of a deal of this play, but I think it is important in the context of everything that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks. And especially with a guy like Ruper as well. So here we go. Play one. All right. This is just basic stuff. This is the play I'm talking about, chat. This is the play I'm talking about where how often do we see the Blazers in this position where the guy with the ball is just stuck and like doesn't really know what to do? And then, drives, gets a shot blocked or like has to go one-on-one or just dribbles into a handoff with like Anthony Simons. And it's just basic stuff. Where the other three people on the top of the court right now, you got Chris Murray, you got Ryan Ruper, you got Uprise at the top of the court, where all three of them just stand around, right? Like we've seen this all season long. What we haven't seen is this. What's the difference? All of a sudden, Ryan Ruper is setting a screen on Devin Booker to get Chris Murray open for three. Unfortunately, Scoot doesn't see this, drives. Like, this is impossible when the defense is set. Like, the defense is set, communicating, like, loaded up to deal with the Scoot Henderson drive. And he gets a shot blocked. Like, that's basically an impossible play for Scoot. But he had Chris Murray wide open there. That's an easy pass to Chris Murray. Should be an open three. Bradley Beal might be able to close out, but here's the thing. It's going to be a hard closeout on that Chris Murray three. If they close out too hard, then you can drive off of it, and then you force help. And then you have open kickout passes, and you can spark good offense off of it. And all it takes is just one guy like Ruper just coming in and setting a screen like that. It's very simple.
I can't tell on your picture how much time's left on the shot clock, though.
There is enough. 7.
Okay. I felt like this was right before this, like, Scoot waited a while before he started going, and it kind of got him in trouble again.
Yeah. He did, but, like, this is tough. You got KD on you. He's a 7-footer. Scoot's 6'3", like, and then you got help at the rim. Like, he beat KD. The problem is you got Nurk blocked this shot.
Yeah.
Nurk actually covered a lot of ground on that. Props to him. But set screens like this, like just the weak side guys meaning the side of the floor that the ball isn't on, have stood around all season long, and it's been a problem. It's been a problem. So I'd love just seeing this because that's what they need. They need more weak side movement. That's what they need to do more of. They need to set more screens on the other side of the floor. Because that makes it so the defense has to think. Like right now, Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are having to think about this screen. Okay? But the thing is, they're not guarding it well. If Bradley Beal cheats it too much, Ruper can even slip this screen and be open in the middle of the key. Right? So you get stuff going off of that. And that's been my problem all year long. So this wasn't a set. They weren't a set. They were standing around before this. They need more of that. They need to preach that. And that's been the problem with Chauncey is we've seen so many times all year where these weak side guys just stand there and watch that it's hard to believe that it's being preached at all. And if it is being preached, then it's falling on deaf ears. And Chauncey apparently can't get anything through to his team because 95% of the time in this position, the four guys without the ball do absolutely nothing.
Yep. Can you show the last picture again? I want to see what Reed does on this play. Should probably go watch it.
This was the last picture, the one where he got blocked.
Yeah. So but
the dump off pass was there.
If he switched to his left, he could have easily handed that off to Reed for the dump off. Yeah.
Yeah, because both Booker and Beal are worried about the shooter off the flare screen, so they can't sag as much. You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps the defense preoccupied. That's
what I was looking for, if that screen did that or not, and it did.
Yeah, and this is just basic stuff. Like, that's not hard. Ruper just running from there to there and standing in Booker's way is not freaking hard. is some of the easiest stuff, and it's basic basketball. But nobody on the team looks to do anything off the ball. And that's been my biggest critique of Chauncey, and that's been my biggest frustration with the youth mistake. This isn't youth. You should be able to preach to youth to set this type of screen off the ball if they're like stuck and standing around. Like, this is not a youth excuse, especially when this is maybe the first time all season that I can remember somebody setting a flare screen that wasn't a part of a set.
Yeah, and we know Scoot doesn't go to his left well yet. Hopefully that's something that he improves on. But in this situation, when he's got KD isolated, you have Ant in the corner, you want to go right on KD because then Grayson either has to help or stay with Anthony, which should leave the lane open. And then that last read is just what Nurk does. And Scoot just misread it, that Nurk got over there fast enough. But like you said, Nurk covered a lot of ground, so maybe Scoot thought he couldn't get there in time. I don't think that's a horrible decision by Scoot. And like I said,
he just has to explode into this.
Yeah.
Like, he
kind of threw it up flat-footed a little bit. But yeah, I think this was a good play by Scoot. He just has to maybe work on reading the defense a little better.
Yeah, also needs to learn how to play off to a little better, maybe come to a right-left.
Yeah.
Like hop into a right-left and go up strong, that sort of thing. Like there's some things, nuances with Scoot to figure out in a situation like this. But I mean, that's a tough play, regardless if he does it right or not. The easiest play is just hitting Chris Murray right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is Scoot doesn't even look. These players, that's what I talk about bad habits, where the offense right now is not teaching these guys the right things. Because Scoot can read the floor. The problem is he's so used to the guys off the ball on the weak side not being options and all standing still that his thought process here seems to be like, okay, I have to make something happen. That is the only option. Like, he doesn't even look. And that's not Scoot is a willing passer. Scoot is more than willing to make this pass, but he doesn't even look at it because normally it's not an option. So that's where he's learning in this situation, I have to go. That's the only option is I have to attack the defense and I have to like draw 3 defenders and then make a super hard shot or a super hard pass. And we see them do that all the time. It's led to a bunch of turnovers. It's part of the reason he went 6 for 22 from 2 tonight. You make this pass and then Chris either shoots a 3 or Beal closes out so hard that Chris has a driving lane past him and then Chris draws Nurk and dumps it off to do Uprise and you get a good shot. That's basketball.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a good example of like the stuff that we need to see more of, the stuff that we need to see preached. The thing is, Chauncey preached ball movement. Chauncey preached that type of offense, but has never made progress over the course of the season to getting his teams to play like that. Tonight was good, but I don't expect it to be. I expect it to be an outlier, Eric. Yeah, I expect it to be an outlier. Maybe that's why he got benched. He set an off-ball screen. I don't know.
Well, Tyler King says, Blazer fans are sick in the head. One game and everyone jumping on the Ruper train. What do you think of that comment, Tori?
So we need to be more negative? Like, bro.
No one's saying
we're
he's like...
excited for him. It's his first real NBA opportunity. He's going against Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and he goes 3 for 3 from 3 when he was supposed to have a broken jump shot. Nobody's saying he's now a 45% three-point shooter. Nobody's making any definitive statements about, like, he's amazing or he's this or that. I was excited for him because it's his first NBA opportunity, especially if you know his story with, like, how hard he worked to get to the league. Like, he's a good kid, good head on his shoulders. So him in that moment coming up, hitting some threes, like just trying to make the right play, whether it's off the ball offensively, hustling, I love that. If you can't take anything out of that, then I don't know how you even watch the team right now. Because that's all we got right now is feel-good stories about young players, like hopefully coming into their own in the league. And this was hopefully the first step for Ruper. Maybe he doesn't pan out. But that dude has potential. Why can't we be excited for him? Why can't we be excited for him having 11 points in 14 minutes, 4 for 5 from the field, and 3 for 3 from 3. You know?
I don't think anyone's saying he should be starting the rest of the season or something, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea right now. It's like, why aren't we just playing that guy as much as possible, or at least some minutes, 20 minutes a game right now, because we need all the development we need as we can get.
Yeah, what are we getting out of playing Thybulle over him, Eric?
Well, that's why. in my opinion, a game like this makes it perfectly clear that everyone outside of Sharp that didn't play tonight, well, I mean, Baji, doesn't matter, but all the other guys should all be traded.
Yeah,
if you can move them.
I mean, it's not tonight's game, it's the games before this and then tonight.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like, so not just overreacting off one game, it's what were these guys looking like during this road trip? They were looking awful. And the thing is with Thybulle is, his defense isn't solid. He's a good defender if he has good defenders around him that can make up for his mistakes when he gambles too hard. He overplays almost everything, and it results in some steals and some good plays, but it also results in him getting back cut. It results in him getting beat off the dribble pretty consistently, actually. He is not like a solid defender. He's like a gambler who can get a lot of steals, but there's a downside to that. And that's why I've always thought Thybulle is a little bit overrated defensively. Not saying he's bad, but especially lately, he overplays a ton. Like, he's not providing this team right now much value defensively, because a lot of times when he overplays, when he gets back cut, when he gets beat off the dribble, they don't have guys to protect the rim at an elite level to make up for it like he had with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. So that's why, to me, it makes sense to try and cash in on Matisse Thybulle, and then you play repair and hope he can develop. Because right now, I mean, he's hit threes in the G League, and tonight, 3 for 3 from 3. Like, I don't know exactly what he is as a three-point shooter, but he looks like he might be able to be a decent three-point shooter, which is, I did not expect to be saying that this year. Coming into the league, it was like he has a lot of potential and a lot of defensive upside, but his shot is completely broken, and that's why he fell to the second round. Right now, you make a case maybe his shot is his best attribute. The fact that he's shooting so well is very, very encouraging, that he's shooting so well in the G League. And then he comes in the NBA, and some guys, like, just at the NBA level, they're a little nervous. The game moves fast for them. Like, they shoot the ball terribly. This was a good first, we need more of a sample size, but this was a good first outing of real minutes. So you just try and develop him, because he works his ass off too. That's the other thing, is a guy like that with his tools that works his ass off, it's easier to bet on them one day figuring it out. So he should be playing after the deadline in Matisse Thybulle's role in trying to develop, because I also think he can be a more solid defensive player. I think he needs to get stronger. I think he needs to get a little bit more disciplined on the defensive end. These are things that most rookies need to work on defensively. But he can be a 3-and-D guy, like it looks like right now. Mm-hmm. And he could be a steal in the second round. And the thing is on draft night, a lot of people had him as a first-round pick. A lot of people thought he was a steal going 43. And that was with people thinking that his shot was broken.
I mean, a lot of people had him late lottery most of last year on big boards and stuff.
He's a legit prospect.
Yeah.
He is absolutely a legit prospect.
But one that needs to be developed. Right?
Yep. The thing is, again, the G League was, and we said this even before the season, the G League was going to be very important for him more than like any player on our roster, in our organization.
Well,
and I think it's paid off.
Trevin brought this up during the game, so shout out to Trevin for this, but imagine if we didn't have a G League team still, Tori, and those guys were just sitting on the bench, and we didn't have a way to get them minutes. And so this is why we've been begging for the team to get a G League team for years, because we needed this avenue where you could take players down that weren't going to get minutes and play them and get them confident and give them minutes. And I think you're already seeing it pay dividends with a guy like Ruper tonight, looking a lot more progressed than he should be at this point.
Yeah. That's also why I don't give, because people will give Jody Allen credit for footing the bill for the G League team right now. There's people talking about how the NBA in the next year or two is going to force every NBA team to have a G League team.
Yeah,
like it's going to become a rule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is I don't give her credit because we should have had one 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We should have been having one because it's important for prospects like this. The G League is beneficial to an NBA team, okay? And it's not a crazy, crazy investment for an owner to make. So we should have had one 5 years ago. Not this year. Now, finally, we have one because I think it's worked for a guy like Ruper so far to find confidence behind the three-point arc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's obviously a lot for him to work on, a lot for him to improve.
Right.
But if he can shoot the three ball, my goodness. 6'6", 6'7", he's grown an inch apparently, so 6'7" with a, 7'2" wingspan that can shoot the three, that can dribble it a little bit. At 19 years of age, his ball handling is only going to get better. That has defensive upside. I have dreamed of having this type of prospect. I love Ruper as a prospect. I love Ruper. Maybe I love him a little too much, like the person in chat was saying earlier, but... there's a reason. There's a reason for it. It's the combination of tools. It's the work ethic. It's the physical attributes. Yeah, and then he comes in shooting the ball well. That's great.
I'll always like taking chances on players like that with upside versus, I don't know, another player that played well tonight, Chris Murray type, you know?
Yeah. Because Chris Murray's, 3-4 years older than him?
Yeah. Almost 4, I think.
Yeah. Chris Murray was supposed to be more NBA ready, but hey, he looked NBA ready today.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing that I was saying earlier in the year with Chris is, I don't think he's a terrible player or anything. I just think he hadn't really gotten an opportunity yet. And he has, over the last, 8 or so games, gotten some actual minutes. I think one of those games, maybe he only played at the end, but for the most part, he had gotten in and played a rotation spot in some of the minutes. And he's actually held his own. He hasn't been great until tonight, but he's done some nice things out there. You can see why they thought he would be a good role player. I guess there's still time for him to be that. But I do like the way he moves and both off ball and on defense and stuff. And I think he could be a guy that runs the baseline and gets some easy dunks like he did tonight, just from movement. And then obviously his three-point shooting was an issue over Summer League and in the G League early on this year, but his shot looks a lot better now. This just goes back to my thing. How are we less competitive playing these guys versus the other guys? You know what I mean? Yeah. People say you don't want to trade the veterans because you don't want to be the Pistons or whatever, but aren't we better off doing this? And it helps us more in the future. Plus we get more stuff.
Yeah, more assets. I mean, you're just building towards 3 years from now instead of let's hope we can win as many games this year. Let's hope we can win 25 games instead of 20. At the end of the day, what matters? It doesn't matter if we win 25 games or 20. What matters is someday, hopefully, we win 50. The window is at least 2 to 3 years from now is when it begins. Okay, it's probably 3, if I'm being realistic. Okay, optimistically, maybe 2, but probably 3. And then the window stretches obviously far beyond that. It's not like the window is only 3 years from now and then 4 years from now we're cooked, right? You're building towards a window of time where this team can be competitive. The thing is, with Brogdon, with Grant, they don't fit that window of time. They don't fit that timeline. Jeremy Grant's going to turn 30 in March. Brogdon's, 30, 29, 30 years old? His age doesn't even matter because our
31.
31? His age doesn't even matter, though, because our core is 3 guards. Mm-hmm. So you move off Brogdon for sure. Nobody seems to argue that. But you also move off Jeremy Grant because defensively, he's okay at best. At least in Portland, he's been okay at best. Rebounding, he's awful. Passing, he's not good. He's literally just a scorer. Okay? You got 3 young guards that can hopefully run your offense and score. You need guys that can play off of them, not stop the ball, set screens, rebound, do little things. Okay? You might need another star scorer in the front court, but that's not Jeremy Grant. So how are you going to get that star scorer in the front court? Either you got to suck the next 2 years and hope you get Cooper Flagg in the draft, or maybe Ace Bailey in the draft next year, or maybe you get Ron Holland this year and he ends up panning out. Or you need a bunch of assets in the future to trade for that guy. Okay? You need the 2029 unprotected picks that we have, as well as maybe you flip Anthony Simons down the road. But guess what? You're probably going to need even more picks. So it only makes sense to get picks for Brogdon, for Grant, That's probably the only 2 players that can fetch first-round picks on our roster right now. If you can get one for Thybulle, you do it in a heartbeat. And then you develop Ruper to be the next Thybulle.
And you can bring in bench guys that can help mentor or whatever. They don't have to be rotation players.
Yep. I mean, that is the window, that is the timeline. Because tonight we looked better tonight than any game on that 7-game road trip except for the win in Brooklyn. And we were far shorthanded. Which, if it's just the roster, if it's just the talent, there's no reason we should have been in this game in the fourth quarter. There's absolutely no reason.
Yep. And for the record, as of 52 minutes ago on the East Coast, Jeremy Grant and Matisse Thybulle are now trade eligible. We made it to January 15th in NBA time. So,
and they both sat out with an illness?
They are both sick tonight and not at the game, and neither was Brockton.
Yeah, I don't. I know.
I never buy into that. Yeah, I know.
It's always interesting when you have those little coincidences, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the trade deadline's in less than a month, but that's the thing. If we were playing like this with these guys, I would not be as frustrated this season.
Right.
But the thing is like we get young players that'll like move off the ball, and like we'll have a young team that moves the ball. With Chauncey Billups, it always seems to regress. I'm not going to overreact to one game where it's like, oh, we're moving the ball and we're playing hard and blah, 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 and be like, maybe Chauncey's going to start figuring it out. No, because he's consistently, over the past 3 years, shown me nothing. He's shown me nothing. Well, the thing is, remember, Eric, the 4-game winning streak we had when we had Josh Hart and Anthony Simons and Yusuf Nurkic and Justice Winslow. We were moving the ball and we were playing like this and we won because of it. Yeah. And then the organization overreacts to that. And then we start off last season, and it's like, oh, it's a continuation of that. We're 10-3. And then it goes completely out the window. You know? So nothing this season is going to make me think like, okay, Chauncey is a guy that can coach ball movement, coach a proper offense. Because it's always regressed to being super stagnant and super ISO heavy. It always has, no matter who is playing.
If we traded the veterans and the rest of the season looks more like it did tonight for the majority of the game, I'm not saying they should keep Chauncey, but I can see why they would if it just looks competitive, you know?
And then you have a shorter leash on them next year where if it goes back to crap, you fire them in the middle of the season next year. Yeah. But I mean, how many chances is this guy going to get?
Right. Yeah.
You know, like if this team starts moving the ball and this and that, and you come back with a lot of the same guys next season and they regress when they're all young next season, like how could you keep going? Because it would have happened for 4 seasons in a row. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to. That's my entire thing. Is like I'm just not going to buy into anything. Even if they start looking good. That's the thing, is if these young guys start playing well, it'll be like, see, all you guys were criticizing Chauncey, even though they were saying that the reason we sucked was because of these same young guys. Mm-hmm. Right? And, yeah, so, like, at this point, I don't trust Chauncey. One game definitely isn't going to fix that. If this becomes a trend, it's still not going to change that for me. But to become a trend, you also got to trade Grant and Thybulle. Because Grant is a ball stopper. Grant is absolutely a ball stopper. But some of it is Chauncey wants him to be. Chauncey was telling him he needs to take shots that he's uncomfortable with. Chauncey was basically telling him that he needed to play the style of basketball. And then there's times in games where Chauncey obviously makes a concerted effort to force feed Jeremy Grant isolation possessions in the post. Mm-hmm. So I sit here and blame Grant, but a big part of that is Chauncey. I don't think it's a coincidence that we moved the ball better tonight without Grant. I don't think it's a coincidence. Maybe having Grant would have helped us be more competitive, but at the end of the day, we're not going to win a championship on the back of Jeremy Grant isolations. Nope. At the end of the day, there's multiple things we need to do to get this roster to contention, and clinging on to Jeremy Grant is not one of them.
I'll save it for Tankathon, but I think I have a way to maybe fix the Blazers.
Oh, really? You have your dream prospect now.
Two of them, yes.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, we'll save it for Tankathon. I gotta. Do I have a solo webcam for you? Because I gotta dip for a couple minutes. I gotta get out of here for a couple minutes. Let me make a solo webcam for you, and then I will leave and be right back.
Okay.
But feel free to interact with chat or whatever.
Yeah, let's talk trades because I see that coming up a lot in chat. So a lot of people are asking what a good deal is. Got the Skype on the screen. That's all good. You're fixing it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I do think Grant could be a piece that gets a team over the top. I'm not saying he's bad. I think he fits on a lot of different teams. Brogdon is the same way. Both those guys on a contending team that has good players and that you don't need to do what they've been doing this season very often, I think are perfect for him. I don't think Indy's a great situation just because of his rebounding, but everything else I think is good for Indy, and hopefully Indy just ignores that and goes with it. And then yeah, I mean, like Lakers, Kings, Mavericks are all perfect destinations for Grant. So if we could just get, in my mind, you also want to take advantage of teams like the Pistons if they're going to be stupid, even though they don't need Grant or Brogdon or whatever. But if they want to give us assets to for some reason go after veterans, you do that. So in my mind, the first thing you look for in a Jeremy trade is a blue chip young player. It could be someone that you think could be a blue chip young player, but if they don't have a lot of value right now, then you need to get a good blue chip first round pick back also. But like if Indiana ends up trading Jarris Walker for Siakam or whatever, and we could have possibly gotten Jarris Walker for that, I think that's the type of player you risk trading Jeremy for because he fits much better with our window. Asir Thompson, if Detroit's stupid and trades him, like not the perfect fit, but just getting a guy who was the 5th pick in the draft and has a lot of potential for him, I think that's worth it. So those are the kind of guys I would first target in trades. Obviously, if you're trading with Dallas, you would ask for Lively, but they're not going to give Lively up. So, but that's the kind of prospect I would be looking for. And then if you can get a first out of it too, but if they don't have a blue chip prospect, it needs to either be an elite first round pick, so like an unprotected pick in the future to where you could definitely see that pick being really good, or at least 2 really good firsts where they're lightly protected, or maybe 1 unprotected from a good team in the next couple years, and then 1 future protected one. So a team like the Lakers who could trade a 2029 or 2030 first, when LeBron would be like 50 years old by then. Yeah, those kind of picks are intriguing because the Lakers will retool at some point, but they're going to be in a little bit of a weird situation for a while. So I wouldn't mind doing a deal with them if you can get that pick unprotected. Now, if it's heavily protected or whatever, and it's just 1 pick, I think that's a bad trade because I don't really like a lot of the parts that the Lakers would be sending back. Brogdon, the same way. Just hope to get a decent first from him. If you can get a young player too, back in that, you take it. But I'm not expecting anything more than a decent first for him. And then Thybulle, I think, has played his way into decent first or fringe first round pick value. So I think a team could give up a late first, like a team that's I'm not saying Boston would do this, but like Boston, is going to be late 20s this year, right? So a team like that, I could definitely see giving up a late first for a guy like Thybulle. Or Thybulle's the kind of guy that if you included him in a Brogdon trade or a Jeremy trade to a team that has enough contracts to match, could push your offer from one good first and one okay first to two really good first or something like that. So those are the kind of things I would be looking for those guys. Ayton, I think if you got rid of him by attaching him to one of those guys as well, I think you take that. But I also I really think that at this point, if you can get an expiring for him, and you just reset your center rotation next year, I think you roll with it. But yeah, Ayton's a tough one.
All right, what trades did you talk about? What did I miss?
I was just talking about what value I was looking for Grant and Brogdon and stuff. Didn't really talk that much specifically. Other than if you could get a guy like a Sur or Jarris, you definitely have to go for it.
We should also talk about Ayton.
Yeah.
He misses another game. He's questionable. The last, 3-4 games? I forget. Has not played. Was pretty amped up on the bench there today.
I told you I wasn't going to play the Suns tonight. Man, that guy is so predictable.
Yeah, Are you at the point where you would cap dump him for just an expiring that we got rid of?
I mean, I've been in favor of that, yeah. I mean, I'd hope, like I brought up that Gordon Hayward one a couple weeks ago. I would hope if we did that, we'd get at least a couple future seconds or something for doing so.
Yeah, normally you don't get seconds out of that type of trade, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I could see a team being dumb. I still hope one team would be dumb out of all the other 29.
For me, seconds would be nice on top of it, yes, but also when we're talking about getting rid of $32 million, seconds are just so irrelevant to me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Either we need to get rid of it or we don't. Yeah. I'm gonna do a chat poll. Would you cap dump Ayton right now? Would you cap dump Ayton for an expiring contract that we let walk? Yes or no, chat? Curious to see what this poll says. I don't even know if we could cap dump him at this point, Eric.
I know one no vote. My guy, Taylor Packer.
Well, yeah. I think it will be... Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting. 2/3 would probably go yes. If you went elsewhere, you'd definitely get a little different vote. Alex says I would give up assets to dump his contract. I want guys that, do the little gritty things, I want guys that you don't have to worry about their effort. They're going to set good screens. They're going to box out consistently. They're going to finish strong around the rim. That's what I want in a center. And they're going to play good defense. That's the bare minimum I want in a center. Ayton just doesn't really fit that mold for me. That's why I'm kind of down just to cap dump him. You can try and get it in the draft.
I do want to say this, though. If they cap dump all these players just to be a floor salary team moving forward and don't ever use their, whether they get trade exceptions or cap space or mid-level exceptions in the future to go a little past the salary cap or whatever, if they're just super cheap moving forward and use this to do that, I'd be mad. However, if they do use this to get cap space and make legit runs at free agents and use that money in trades to bring in players for picks, aka what OKC did for years, then I'm all for doing whatever it takes to free up as much salary as possible moving forward right now.
Yep, I agree. You guys can make your thoughts heard in chat and vote in the poll. We'll read off some of the best comments about Ayton once we get back from this ad break. But once again, I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this post-game stream. You can get a 125% deposit match by using our link in the description box below. They're a reliable, secure sportsbook, and they are our sponsors all season long. Huge shout out to them. Eric, I want to go through some futures bets if you want to. So maybe a futures specials on betus.com. And I haven't looked at any of these yet, but I want to take a look at them with you and see what we got. Okay, so they got 4 specials right now over at betus.com that you guys can get in on with that link. The first one is called Adam Silver. Adam Silver to step down as NBA commissioner in 2024 plus 800, Eric. That's the only option is you have to bet yes, and you get 8-1 odds. I think there's no chance of that happening. I wouldn't take this. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I think there's a small chance, but I don't think it'll happen.
Okay, you got early lines on any American to become the points leader average per game in the 2023 to 2024 regular season. That's interesting. So international players right now, you got Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic isn't up there in scoring, but who's the Giannis is up there. The international players are taking things over right now. Who's the top American player in terms of points per game right now?
Let me look it up.
Because I'm curious.
It would be, well, KD.
KD.
Is Shea
American? I'm not sure.
I think he was born somewhere else.
He's Canadian. No, he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian, yeah.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
So yeah, KD and Donovan Mitchell at 5 and 6. De'Aaron Fox 7. Jason Tatum 8.
And this is at any point. Any point in the regular season, I believe. So I would take no, minus 190. Like, that's the safer bet. I would definitely side towards no. It has lower odds, though, or worse odds.
Yeah, I think so. 5.3 points separates Durant from Joel Embiid right now.
Yeah.
So you'd have to Durant make up that much with Beal back. The only thing I guess you could say is at some point, if Embiid keeps missing games, he could be not eligible for the points lead, and then it would be a little easier. But Doncic is still 4.3 points ahead of him, so I don't know. And I don't see Doncic's scoring going down anytime soon. I don't see SGA's scoring going down. Giannis and Dame could, if Giannis was first and it was only 2 points better, I could say maybe Dame gets more of a role moving forward, but yeah, I don't know.
I would definitely take no on this. Even with the minus 190, I'd still feel comfortable placing a no bet on this just because of that buffer. But that's just credit to the international game, man. It's cool seeing, and it's helping expand the game globally too, having stars like Jokic, Doncic, Embiid, Giannis, international players really taking over. Let's go to LeBron. Game LeBron scores his 40,000th regular season point. That's coming up, huh? That's coming up. So they're expecting it late February. I don't really know which game I would bet on for this. This is kind of a hard bet. This is just kind of something where you maybe blindly throw your money on one of these.
You know what I would do?
What would you do?
Take that March 10th game at home against the Timberwolves. That's plus 3,500. And just hope he misses a few games before now and then, and that he doesn't break it because he wasn't playing in all those games.
Yeah, 100%. That might be the play here because that's $3,500 for a $100 bet if he breaks it March 10th against the Timberwolves. So that's probably the way to play those odds. But on or before February 25th is kind of like the expected projection. How many points does he have right now? Do you know? I don't know how close he is, but I would probably go after in case he gets banged up a little bit. But that's an interesting prop available on BetUS. And then I want to look at the final prop. If it'll let me go back. The final prop is a Lakers prop. We're not going to worry about the final prop. Anyway, if you want to get in on any of these NBA specials, make sure you use our link.
What was it?
I don't know. I'm trying to go back, but it won't let me go back. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. I got it now. Lakers. Next Lakers coach after Darvin Ham. The third favorite is Terry Stotts.
The Terror.
You would definitely go plus 10,000 on Skip Bayless, huh?
No, I'm not wasting my money. Chris Paul.
LeBron player coach.
Interim does not count, so it would be if they have an interim the rest of the season and hire someone in the off season, then their interim wouldn't count.
You know what I would take here? I'd take Budenholzer plus 1,200 and feel very good about that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Like, if the coaching job became available, I think Budenholzer would be a front runner for this. Because that's the type of coach that I feel like they tend to hire. In LA, they tend to like guys with experience. Look at, like, Frank Vogel, especially somebody that's won a championship recently with Giannis. Plus 1,200 for Bud is good odds for sure.
Yeah. What's Sam Cassell's odds?
Plus 700.
Yeah, that's not very good.
Juwan Howard plus 500. See, like, I'd rather take Budenholzer than a Juwan Howard.
Yeah.
And don't take Skip. Just no Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless ain't coaching NBA.
That's funny. That's right. Shannon Sharp is it on there.
That's such a funny name to have on the list. But yeah, BetUS will have little funny things like that on some of their specials. You know, I love them over there. Appreciate them for sponsoring this post-game stream. Once again, if you want to get in on any of these specials, if you have a gut feeling on any of these guys, use our link. It'll give you 125% deposit match. Shout out to them for sponsoring the post-game. All right, I want to look at some top comments from Ayton. Right now, Eric, 111 votes. 59% of people said they will cap dump DeAndre Ayton right now. Also, shout out to the donos. Appreciate. Oh no, it's just a fake Woj bomb. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Trade Ant for Raymond Felton.
2 $5 donos that say Woj bomb. Okay, well, thank you for
wasting your money on yet another account.
Yep. Alrighty. So. Comments moved up. There's people shouting Shea is Canadian at us. As far as Ayton goes, though, man, it's opportunity cost. Like, what is he going to cost you in terms of future opportunities to either take on salaries with assets attached to them and or be a player in free agency next year for, like, a Nick Claxton? I would, if you can get off Ayton's contract and get that in cap space, they obviously got to get off, like, Brogdon's contract and other contracts as well. But if you can get off of Ayton's contract and get the money to make a play for Nick Claxton, I'll take that chance. I'd much rather have Nick Claxton at the starting center for this team, and I don't think he's getting a max contract. So that's why I'd be willing to do it, is just to have a chance at that or accumulate assets with bad contracts. Basically, you're just building towards being competitive 3 years from now.
Draft Zach Edey. Why are you laughing?
Stop playing. I can't take it. There's so many people that are in love with Zach Edey, but chat, does anyone in chat love Zach Edey as a prospect?
Eric Olson does.
Okay, you want to know my thing with Zach Edey? You are forced to play drop scheme 100% of the time when he's in. Also, the majority of his points come off post-ups. It's not like he should be a good pick-and-roll big, but they don't use him enough in the pick-and-roll.
Yeah.
The thing is how does he translate to the league? He's big and he can finish on the inside, but
and rebound, finish. He's gonna get hunted so much in the NBA, though.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to run. That's the thing is, there are the best guards in the league you can't really run drop scheme on So against the best guards in the league, you can't really have Zach Edey in the game. Because if he's up at the point of the screen, if he's switching, oh my goodness, if he's switching out onto guys, these guards are just going to get to the rim at will. Like, he is absolutely going to get hunted in the pick and roll in the NBA. And that's kind of the problem. He would probably be a good drop big, but he's a bench big, Eric. He's not a starter. And when you're drafting a player in the lottery, you're looking for a guy who's going to be a starter. That's the problem I have with Jonathan Givony and people putting him in the lottery, is he's probably not a starter because you can't get away with running that much drop scheme. Also, I don't think he's in shape enough to play 30 minutes a game. Or not necessarily in shape enough. I just think like he's too big. It takes a lot of energy to move that much mass. I don't think he's capable of playing 30 minutes a game in the NBA without being completely gassed and basically ran into the ground and ineffective because of it. So that's my problem with Zach Edey, is he's a bench big that you can play in certain situations just like Boban was, right? That can maybe dominate a bench lineup, where if you're playing against a team with a really good guard, but that guard is sitting on the bench and the backup guard is in, you can get away with run and drop scheme with Zach Edey. So that's my thoughts on him. I think he'll be a solid backup big, but nothing more.
Yeah, he's having a tremendous year too. He's playing about as good as he could be, but yeah, I agree.
People saying worst draft in NBA history. I don't think this is the worst. I think that's an over-exaggeration. I think that the top 10 might be the worst top 10 that I can remember, but I think outside of that, there is value. I think from outside of the lottery, I think it's a normal draft.
I actually attempted to put together my big board today.
Nice. Let's do Tankathon, because I'm curious who these prospects you're in love with are. Actually, I feel like we need to recap this game a little bit more. I feel like we've kind of glossed over this game a little bit. Scoot, 11 for 31. What were your thoughts on him? Going 11 for 31 today. Wait, we have are the player cards working? I completely forgot that we have player cards, by the way. Yes, okay. Oh, yeah, it's the text at the top. That's what I needed to fix. But
Jack M, $2 donation says, LOL, go look at 2000 before saying it's the worst. Yeah. There's been some pretty bad drafts.
So Scoot, 11 for 31, Eric, has 33 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. So that looks amazing, right? But the 11 for 31, 6 for 22 from 2. He's 4 for 9 from 3. That's great. You know, 3-point ball is looking better than the start of the year, of course. But inside the arc, he was pretty brutal finishing, and some of the mid-range shots where he just tried to jump and hang and basically shot it on the way down and missed short because of it. Some of those were a little rough. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm all right with the 31 attempts because he only had 3 turnovers. If he would have had like 6 or 7 turnovers, that's worse than taking shots. So in my mind, I felt like you at parts of this game where it's like, stop taking mid-range, either shoot a 3 or pass the ball when you get there. Because he was off on most of his mid-range shots today. I still feel like he has very little touch around the rim. Like he's either like throwing it in off the backboard, or he's throwing it so hard off the backboard it's not even going to come close to going in. So he needs to work on like just a little bit of like spin and it's kind of similar to what you were talking about with change of pace off your dribble. You also have to be able to shoot at different angles and know when to lay it off soft, when to go high off the glass, when to go right at the box, when to go towards the corner and spin it over towards the hoop. So he does need to work on that a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, you don't want to see someone only get 33 because they took 31 shots. But in this game tonight, I don't really think there was that much he could have done to pass the ball in different situations. He still had 9 assists. So I don't – it's bad, but it's not like – I don't know what else he really should have done tonight differently. And so as long as it's not an issue moving forward. But the problem is his true shooting percentage is really bad on the season. This isn't going to help it.
He's just not efficient enough.
Yeah, he does need to be efficient moving forward.
Yeah. And he wasn't that efficient last year in the G League. This is like maybe the biggest worry of him throughout his career is like, can he be efficient enough? He needs to watch. I mean, this offseason, he needs to watch Chris Paul tape. He needs to watch Damian Lillard tape in regards to what to do around the rim, because he will occasionally have a flash of brilliance around the rim finishing the ball, but he doesn't know what to do most of the time.
Yeah.
Another problem is the paint is just loaded, as I showed with the clips earlier, where he gets blocked. It's like when nobody's moving, defenders are able to help a little easier, are able to load up on drives a little easier. That makes it tough on a small guard in the NBA. So having a little bit more movement to make things simpler on him would be great. But Chris Paul is especially someone, like, the way he just kind of like manipulated that mid-range space, and the mid-range shots that he took were easier than like the mid-range shots that you saw Scoot take today. Like, he needs to learn the Chris Paul mid-range that's like he's able to get it off from like 12 to 13 feet when he doesn't have stuff at the rim, compared to like the 17, 18 footer, or where he kind of gets into the mid-range, gets going downhill, the paint's packed, and he like strings out that dribble laterally into a pull-up from 12, you know?
Yeah.
So he needs to become more nuanced with a lot of his drives, and right now he's just like basically trying to drive and like force his way to the rim and like contort and manipulate and get shots off, and that's tough. So there's a learning curve there that he's just starting. I think watching film of a guy like Chris Paul, because Chris Paul isn't more athletic than him. Chris Paul isn't taller than him. Chris Paul doesn't have a longer wingspan than him. But Chris Paul in his prime was able to get to the rim, finish at the rim, as well as manipulate the defense with his passing, with his pace, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's the learning curve for Scoot. Because once he can kind of learn how to pick his spots, he'll be more efficient as a finisher. Hopefully that three-point ball comes along a little bit more. And the smarter he becomes, the more he'll probably draw fouls as well. Then you'll start seeing Scoot be efficient. And that's just the goal right now, because he's passing the ball better. 9 assists. 3 turnovers, 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. I love it. The three-point shot, still somewhat inconsistent, but at least he's having games like this where he's 4 for 9. So it's just being able to figure out how to really make his mark as a slasher.
Yeah, and you mentioned another thing in the Suns Valley podcast stream, that a lot of his mid-range shots are short.
Yeah.
And I think that is one thing, because he kills all his momentum and goes either straight back or a little backwards when he shoots.
Yeah.
And so learning to shoot where you're using your momentum a little bit to help your shot get to the rim easier, where you're shooting a floater on the run, or you're using your momentum to kind of ease the ball up into the basket instead of stopping on a dime and going straight up, and then his jump shot's not the greatest and trying to shoot a jump shot from 10 feet or whatever. So I think learning how to get to spots and using that momentum to just kind of float the ball up into the air and let it go in.
Yeah, well, the thing is and I bring up Chris Paul for a reason in regards to, he would find space to get up a mid-range shot without jumping much off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Scoot in this game, like, there were some mid-range shots where he was like trying to elevate over the defender so much in order to get the shot off with like KD on him or whatever. And then the ball was coming out of his hand when he was like starting his momentum downwards. And it's really hard to get the ball to the rim if you're shooting on the way down. So he ends up missing shots short. And it's like, instead of trying to basically jump over the defense to get these mid-range shots off, he needs to figure out little crafty ways to gain space so he can shoot the ball on the way up or get an angle to get the shot off without getting blocked. And that's what Chris Paul was a master of. And a lot of that is just using your body, and a lot of it is footwork. And that's where Scoot needs to improve regarding getting off mid-range shots and that sort of thing. Because sometimes the floater will be there, sometimes the drive will be there. He just needs to learn what to do based on how the defense is set up in given situations. And right now he doesn't really know what to do, and that's why you get nights where he shoots 6 for 22 from 2.
Yep. 7 for 22.
Eric Olson has a great point. When CJ shot his mid-range shots, he was often relaxed and decelerating. Yeah, it wasn't sprinting into a 40-inch jump off the floor and trying to hit shots that way. That's the Russell Westbrook way.
Yeah, which you don't.
Yeah. I want to see him be more like Chris Paul.
Yeah.
In some of his mid-range shots. So, yeah, Dro says Westbrook, absolutely. So, nuanced things for Scoot to learn. Love the stat line. He'll find ways to become more efficient in the next 3 years. I mean, 3 years from now, he's still going to be 22. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the solace you can take in any struggles he has, is he has all the time in the world to figure this out. And Colonel Pancake's report. I will not complain if he turns into Westbrook. Yeah. I don't think he's the athlete that Westbrook was in his prime, but there is some similarities there. But I also think he's a more natural shooter than Westbrook is. Like, I don't know. Which sounds kind of crazy, but I have more faith in his three-point shot than I ever had in Westbrook's.
I don't know. I think they're both clunky. I don't have faith in either, but
he's
been hitting some. So
his flow is better with his jump shot. Westbrook's was like, bring the ball up super fast to the set point, stop, pause there for a second while he jumped really high off the floor, and then like almost throw it at the rim. Like his shot didn't flow into itself, if that makes sense. You watch Steph, you watch Dame, their shots are just one energy train from the ground, from the feet, the lower body, getting the ball to the set point and extending when the legs are extending. Like it was smooth. Westbrook's was very disjointed in terms of his energy chain. Scoots is better than Westbrook's in that regard, and that's why I have more faith in his three-point shot. There's a couple other weird things that Scoot does, but I don't know if they're necessarily shot killers. I do think like the rhythm of his shots are better.
I don't think he has good rhythm in his shot.
You think it's Westbrook bad?
I don't think it's quite Westbrook bad, but I don't think Westbrook's was horrible like in his prime either. It got worse as he lost confidence in it.
It was a 2-motion shot where he tried to jump as high as he could on every jumper. Like, it's how I always looked at Westbrook's shot, which I don't think it's really hard to be a good shooter like that. Some guys are able to get it done. Ray Allen might be a good example of that, but you look at the great shooters now, almost all of them are 1-motion shots. Scoot is closer to a 1-motion shot. It's not a 1-motion shot, but I don't know. I think his rhythm's better. It's not great, but it's better than Westbrook's.
Yeah.
So, Norman Powell jumps hella high on his shots. Yeah, I mean, there is some examples to the contrary, but it's tough. It's tough. Westbrook, the thing is Westbrook also had a kind of a high set point. His shot was just super tense. He put a lot of, like, his shot looked physically exerting. Like, it took a lot of physical effort just to shoot the way he shoots. So, anyway, let's talk about Ant. Ant's stats, there we go. So, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He had been struggling. 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 8 for 18, 6 for 12 from 3. Kind of nice to see him have a decent game, a good game even, again, considering how bad he struggled. What'd you think of Ant tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was okay. Not great, not terrible. Nice to see him hit a couple threes early on. I felt like he did a pretty good job of managing, trying to take over at points, knowing he had to, and also letting the flow of the offense happen. I thought he was a big part of why the offense looked pretty smooth in the first half. But yeah, obviously, you just wanted to see him. He's really struggling from 2-point range lately, and you'd love to see him hit some more 2-pointers. But getting to the line 7 times between him and Scoot, that's 16 free throws between the two of them. Scoot hit 7, so 13 of 16 between the two. They'll take that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid game from him, especially considering his 4 out of his last 5 have been complete duds.
Yep, absolutely agree. We already talked. Go ahead.
One more thing about Anthony. He
Yeah.
once again, it wasn't the whole game, but there were points in this game where he was being double teamed by Nurkic and whoever was guarding him way up top. He couldn't get anything off the screen. I thought he did a really good job of finding the roll man. Didn't always work out, but I thought we did a good job of pushing the advantage, something that we hadn't really done a lot. When Dame had that happen, once again, I don't think that's Dame's fault, but we never really took advantage of those opportunities. And you can see if we had better players, how easily we could probably score if you had a good offensive system designed around taking advantage of those double teams.
Yep. Agreed. I think I've always thought Anthony Simons will be his best in an offense that moves better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might even be the case for Scoot, because when he can drive off the catch, he's better than driving off like a standstill isolation move.
Yeah.
So
it's getting really good at that. When he's double teamed, he's getting really good at the bounce pass between the two to get to the roll man.
yeah.
So if he can continue to progress in that regard, and then we get, an elite level role player or a roll man in there, I think that could really, you just let other teams double team us, and you just take that and go 4-on-3.
Agree. We got Jabari Walker. His player stats coded yet, but I will read you his stat line. 11 points. He had 8 boards in 29 minutes. A couple of offensive boards. 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3. He was active. I thought he played well.
Mm-hmm.
He dealt with that knee injury. But it was a good game from him. Just kind of like quietly at this point, he's you kind of expect him to do.
17-13 last game.
He was, last game. Yeah, good performances. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with thoughts on his game. Like, he just kind of did what he did. He got some boards. He got a couple buckets on the inside. The 2 for 3 from 3 is nice. Continuing to have hope that he can maybe one day turn the corner shooting the 3 ball. He's 27% on the season, though.
Yeah. I found myself, while watching this game, thinking that if the Suns had Jabari Walker, they'd be in really good shape right now.
That's kind of, yeah.
Because they need that guy who does the dirty work around the rim and stuff, and he's been excellent at it lately, just the hustle plays, the rebounding. And our rebounding was excellent. It was so weird because he started at power forward tonight, having a power forward who actually got 8 rebounds and was around the glass and boxing out the other team. Nurk got there was a couple plays where Nurk was around the rim and got a few offensive rebounds, but other than that, I don't remember them having a ton of offensive rebounds tonight or that being a problem. So I do think he had a nice game and continues to be a good bright spot for Portland.
Yep, and speaking of another bright spot this season, stat line, 7 for 15. In 39 minutes, he had 17 points, 6 boards, couple of steals, and a block. 2 for 6 from 3. Offensively, he continues to impress, and he did this against Nurk, at least for a portion of his scoring. I'm starting to realize just truly how rough he is defensively. Like, I just continue to be very unimpressed with his defense, but also I didn't have any expectations for him defensively, so I don't really hold that against him too much, considering he's a two-way big. Yeah, he shouldn't be starting against a bench lineup. The thing is, if he's good enough to defend in a bench lineup, then he probably has a role. Like, Enes Kanter was a backup center despite being awful defensively in the league. I don't think Duop Reith is Enes Kanter level of bad. I think, like, I was watching some of the what's the dude's name that does, like, the defensive film breakdowns where he just roasts teams' defense? The film study guy or whatever, and I watched a few videos just like him breaking down Portland's defensive mistakes. And the key thing that I started to notice that I kind of missed watching games recently was, like, Reith seems to make a lot of lack of awareness mistakes on the defensive end, where he's not in the right position or doesn't see something developing, or like there's a couple plays against OKC where like his guy was setting a back screen and he didn't help. He didn't bump the guy using the back screen, and they got buckets because of it. So, I mean, but that was the entire team. There's some nuanced things he has to get better at defensively. Go ahead.
I mean, I think a lot of that is we forget he's a rookie at times just because
28-year-old rookie.
He's old, but doesn't have a lot of experience, doing that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I mean, that's always been the problem with Reith going back to Summer League is he's just not mobile enough and athletic enough to be a true rim protecting center. And when you don't have any point of attack defense, you need someone who can at least protect the rim. And it kind of jumps out in these kind of games. But I think he's more, like you said, a situational big or a guy you can put in to get buckets, but he's never going to be like a defensive anchor or anything like that.
Yeah, no. So he's like this game, some of these guys like Jabari, like Duop Reith, it's offensively had good nights, especially Reith, but they were just games that kind of like showed exactly who they've been. Reith that struggles defensively, but he'll give you a bucket. Jabari, he'll hustle, he'll get you rebounds, he'll get you a couple buckets on the inside. Anthony Simons, 28 and 5, he was more like himself. It just felt like a lot of these players were more kind of back to themselves in a way, at least with Simons, Reith, Jabari. Chris Murray looked more like who he was in college, which was nice. Hitting those threes was a good sign. Minaya played 17 minutes. We have a card for him too. Not coded, obviously, but we might as well. I've been waiting to get these coded before I started using these again, but 17 minutes, he only shot one shot, was a 3, and he missed. It wasn't like a bad shot. He had 5 fouls, 2 boards. I mean, but 17 minutes, he didn't really screw anything up, which I guess is a good thing.
Well, he played decent defense, but
yeah,
not really anything memorable.
He plays more minutes than Ruper, though.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. Ruper 11 points, 4 for 5 shooting. Kamara, I guess we'll talk about Kamara, and then we'll go to Tankathon. Kamara in this game, 2 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, 1 for 4 from the field. Has his defense regressed, though, Eric?
I don't know if it's regressed, but our defense is so bad, especially with Reith out there. I mean, he's basically playing with 3 below average defenders and maybe a somewhat average defender in Jabari in the starting lineup. And then, so I don't think like one wing defender can really make an impact that much. So I don't know if it's necessarily his defense regressing or just the overall team concepts are so bad right now with the lineup we're having to throw out there with Reith at center that you just can't make up for it if you're a guy, you're in your rookie season like Kamara. But yeah, I think his struggles on offense have led to him being a little less impactful, and you can kind of see him getting played off the court because of those the inability to space the floor, or he's not cutting as much as he was earlier in the season either now, and so you have to wonder if that's a product of the coaching or what, but he's definitely not moving the same out on the floor like he did earlier in the season. I think he's just kind of lost a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, which is a shame. It's a shame. We need a shooting coach this offseason for Scoot.
Wasn't Hetzel supposed to be a shooting coach?
I don't know, but we need to get the best shooting coach alive, whoever that is. Cause
I thought Hetzel was like the number one thought of shooting coach in the league when we got him, but I don't know.
Was he?
I thought so.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'm not. I don't know. I never heard anything, but you might be right. I don't know. Is he really doing a good job then if he's the shooting coach?
No, I made that joke. Like Roy Rogers was supposed to be a good defensive assistant coach, and our defense has sucked since we got here. Hetzel was supposed to be a good shooting coach, and our shooting sucks since he's got here. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, maybe we need a new shooting coach this offseason. I don't know, but with Tamani, it's like if he could just hit threes, everything would be so much easier. Defenses would have to respect him. Cutting would be a little easier. Could maybe attack closeouts a little bit. His defense, I still like.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's hitting threes, that gives him some confidence, gives him some energy. He needs to work on his shot all off season. Like, I know we're not halfway through the season, but he needs to work on his shot all off season. I mean, he needs to work on it a ton right now in the regular season, like practice, shoot around, whatever. He needs to work on his shot. Is there anything form wise you think he needs to fix?
Well, Chad says his feet are too narrow. That might be true. I don't. His shot seems good for once you're confident and good with it, like replicating it. Like, I don't think there's anything horribly wrong with it. It's just when you've got those long arms and you're that way, it's like Pippen was the same way. Someone who gets compared to sometimes. It's just like Pippen never really had a high shooting percentage, but like, I don't know, I wouldn't say he's like a bad 3-point shooter though. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to see those long, lanky wings shoot sometimes, but Batum was the same way. Like his shooting percentages from three were never good, but like you also didn't really feel bad when he took a 3-point shot, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe having a little wider base, maybe a little less turn, maybe honestly a little less arc.
Yeah.
Or some potential things, but I'm not a shooting coach. That's why we need to hire one.
Yeah.
Trevin says, I don't think Hetzel was the best, just credited with fixing faults.
Maybe
Although,
that's
did
what
he
it was.
really fix faults?
Well, I mean, Fultz was completely broken and wanted to be respectable, but yeah.
I mean, like, legitimately, with how important the 3-point shot is in today's game, every NBA team should have a coach dedicated to just developing shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They should be recording players' shots in practice with the highest definition cameras they can and figuring out what inconsistencies with their form are taking place, like what's leading to misses. Put as much data into it to trying to fix any inconsistencies. Put as much technology into it to try to fix as many inconsistencies as you can with these players' jump shots. Work on game shots that maybe they struggle with and figure out what breaks down in their form depending on if they're moving into it to the left, to the right, etc. Figuring out where the inconsistencies pop up. Right? That's what we need. We need a shooting coach dedicated to just shooting and putting as much effort into improving these players' shots. Not just shooting around with them and maybe tweak this with your shooting elbow and then seeing if it's better and just kind of like messing around. There needs to be like a logical, systematic approach to trying to fix inconsistencies, in my opinion, in today's day and age. You have all these resources poured towards analytics in an analytical department. You need to pour. I think a lot of organizations maybe aren't pouring enough resources into developing jump shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So,
well, all these players have personal coaches too, which should help as well. They just got to find the right ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, good shooting is just being able to shoot the same way every time. So if you're not shooting the same way every time, it's going to lead to variancy, aka missing. Obviously, you're never going to shoot 100%, but you got to cut down on the variancies in shooting form, and the approach to developing shooting needs to start with that. And most players, I feel like, will have they'll miss more left than right, or they'll miss more short, And you look at Scoot today on his mid-range pull-ups, he's missing his short, but he's shooting on the way down. That's a variancy. He's jumping a lot to try and raise above guys, and then he's shooting on the way down and missing short because of it. So a lot of misses will be because of something with form. You reverse engineer shooting form at the next level when you have the resources to pour into it like that. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. Anyway, any other players you wanted to touch on before we go to Tankathon? I think we've touched on everybody. All right, Let's do this thing. I'm looking forward to who you like in terms of prospects, because apparently you have a new crush or two. Since Deron Holmes is now my guy, you have to get a different guy.
Well, I've mentioned both of them before, but I have I think getting both of them will be the answer to all of that.
Okay, we'll talk about it after we simulate it. Blazers 5th. Golden State pick now back to 10th. They're tied with the Bulls, but one less win, one less loss. We're rooting for Brooklyn to win games. Beating Brooklyn probably wasn't the best thing because they'd be, 17-21 half game behind Golden State. But I'm cool with Golden State's pick hanging around here. The higher it moves, the better the chance at getting top 4. So let's simulate this thing. Score it from the bottom. At 14, you got Utah to OKC. At 13, you got Houston to OKC. At 12, you got LA to New Orleans. At 11, you got Chicago. At 10, you got Brooklyn to Houston, meaning Golden State has moved into the top 4.
Well, dang it.
But let's say we got their unprotected pick in a trade. Send Jeremy Grant their way or something. Got their unprotected pick this year. That would be great. At 9, you got Atlanta. At 8, you got Toronto to San Antonio. At 7, you got Memphis. At 6, you got the Portland Trail Blazers. And at 5, you got Detroit, of course. Always Detroit, Eric.
Yep.
At 4, the Washington Wizards. At 3, the San Antonio Spurs. At 2 is the Charlotte Hornets. And at 1 is the Golden State Warriors. Wow. The Warriors get Alex Sarr, and our pick from them next year is 22nd. What a depressing sim. I kind of just want to pretend like that sim didn't exist.
That's cheating, though.
It is cheating. But this one's a lot better.
What do we get? 1 and...
We got 2.
2 and 10.
2 and 10. Compared to 6. So, anyway, who are the prospects that you're
And if only in this particular sim that Washington's dumb and doesn't take Alex Sarr.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Holland. I would still take Holland at 2 over Ricochet and Topic, and Walter.
Well, Tori, over the last couple days, I've been at home sick since Thursday night, and been doing a lot of research on some guys that I wanted to go deeper into. Mm-hmm. And I have a new number 2 on my draft board.
Oh, God, a number 2. Huh?
Number 2 behind Alex Sarr. Yep.
Oh, Jesus. I'm scared for who this could be. Wait, let me guess. Dalton Connect.
No. I mean, he's like 23-year-old senior.
He had 36.
No, I know. I did watch that game. Yeah, he was very impressive. Mm-hmm. And I do think he's going to be a decent early second-round pick or whatever. But it's Tijane Saloon.
Really?
I have him at number 2 on my board right now.
Really? You have him at 2?
So when he ends up being the best player or the second best player of this draft, you could all sit here right now and say that I was the first one with the balls to put him that high.
To put him 2? Bro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is a guy I've actually watched a little bit of. Why do you have him at 2, though?
I really like his size. I like his movement on the court, something that I've been paying attention to ever since you mentioned just the way guys move or whatever.
Yeah, this was a guy I said I liked the way he moved. This is a guy
Yeah.
I was turned you on to. I'll take an assist, okay?
I feel like he's going to be really good in the NBA, just like in terms of just fitting in, and I think he's going to be able to play a small forward position. I like his jump shot. I think it looks pretty good. I like the way he is learning how to create off the dribble. He's shown a little bit, not a lot, but some passing flashes. And then I think he's got the athleticism to be a really solid lockdown defender. And it hasn't shown really that much in actual games. But I feel like he's the type of guy who's just going to take a huge jump once he gets into the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be very young. I'm not confident in him being able to contribute in the first year or two. I think a guy like this you draft for long-term upside, which we're looking for upside guys in this draft, and when you're drafting at the top, you might as well swing on upside. I think the creation stuff is just pure lottery ticket. Because the thing that had me a little hesitant with him was he doesn't seem to read the game when he drives yet. His reads, I'm not sure if he can really read the game yet, but he hasn't been playing for long. Supposedly, organized basketball hasn't been playing for long. He's only 18 years old. Going to be one of, if not the youngest player in the draft. I think Topic is pretty young too. But his defensive guy who's athletic and can knock down threes, that's a really good base to bet on with an 18-year-old. The upside is where he has the physical attributes and the athleticism for upside. I saw a page calling him the French Giannis or something. He has size, he has good physical traits. I just don't know how confident to be in his creation potential panning out. He's very raw off the dribble right now.
Yeah, but I'm taking chances on guys like that, in my opinion. In this particular draft, I'd much rather shoot for the stars like that than anything else.
Yeah, no, I would much rather have him over I don't know. There's really not a lot of forwards in this range to compare him to. I'd much rather have him over a Ryan Dunn.
Yeah.
Definitely rather have him over Ryan Dunn. I'd much rather have him over a Klingon, right? Who's more role player safe pick. Him versus Cody Williams. Cody Williams is just more polished, and I feel a little more safe in his creation upside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that makes sense. But also, Salon, I think you can put more stock in his shooting.
Yeah, I have Cody fourth, so not huge difference there. I just think, to me, you look at their bodies, Cody's rail thin, and he can put on weight like his brother, hopefully, and learn some of the traits that his brother does. But and I don't think Cody would be a bad pick at all. I'm not trying to discourage us from taking Cody Williams, because I'd be thrilled with him. But with Cody, I just feel like he's always going to be a little finesse, if that makes sense. Not really those strong physical types that we kind of need in our forward positions with our backcourt situation. And I feel like Tajane has this, he looks like he could be a physical specimen at some point and just be that rare combination of both strength and athleticism and size and all that stuff that makes it really hard to get past when you can move your feet like he can. And I don't know. I just feel like he could be one of those really elite wing defenders.
Yeah. He's a hard prospect to gauge.
Yeah.
He's definitely a lottery, though, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The upside is just hard. Like, do you get what I mean? Because I said this about him before, where he just kind of looks like a deer at times, just with the way he moves. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched some. It's really hard to find full games. I want to see a live game of his.
yeah,
And that's my only. That's what sucks about some of these prospects. If they play in the NBL or the G League or college, obviously, it's a lot easier to watch. But yeah, I watched some parts of games from earlier in the season and compared it to like more recently, and it's the same way with another prospect I'll talk about. But I feel like he's improved so much in just a few months, and that is really intriguing to me at that age. Just seeing that progression now, kind of like we were talking about with Sharp last year, as the season went on, he got more responsibility and started doing things. You're like, oh my God, if he can do this guy's going to be amazing. And so his last few games, he's done some stuff that are like, wow, he's got like star level potential. And I that's just making my radar go off that this guy needs to be higher on my board.
yeah. Well, that's the type of guy, like, if you can take a chance at him here with this Warriors pick, you absolutely do it. 100% do it. Like, I know Filipowski gets some love. I mean, it's hard to deny that Filipowski has been impressive this year. It's just translation questions. How does his game translate to the league? He's shooting 41% from three. He's been on fire from three. 8 for 9 his last 2 games have been dominant. So I watched a good part of this game. Although I do hate watching Duke games because the camera's so high compared to the angle is just weird, man.
His free throw percentage is not good too.
Yeah, like Filipowski has legitimate bust potential, though, in my opinion. Like, in a way, I don't know. He's better than TJ Leaf was, but the archetype of like the big 4-man that is, as a center, isn't mobile enough to deal with defending a lot of pick and rolls unless he drops, but also doesn't really seem like an NBA level rim protector. So he's probably better as the 4, but like, is he mobile enough to play the 4, defend the 4? Like, I have defensive questions with him, and then offensively, like, he can handle and drive a little bit, and he's a little shifty for a dude that's 7 feet, but I don't think it's to the point where it translates to him being able to do it at the NBA level.
Yeah.
So, what is he exactly? I'm not sure. He's like one of those guys that dominates college, but I have no idea what he is at the NBA level because he's not going to be able to be the same player at the NBA level.
Yeah, I think it's stretch big. That's a defensive liability. I think that's his max ceiling.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I just wouldn't take that in the lottery.
So that's the thing, like, when you guys watch prospects chat, it's not just, oh, this dude had 30 and 13. He looks amazing. Like, they're playing at college. Like, Drew Timme was a great college player. He's not an NBA player, right? It's how does their game translate to the league, and can they do the same things they're doing in college if they're scoring 18 a game at the NBA level? Some guys they can, like a Rob Dillingham, the way he scores the ball in college will be the way he scores the ball in the NBA. Like, he creates a ton of separation, really good ball handler, passer, all that. Has the quickness to
he's
score.
Third on my board, by the way.
Yeah, he's probably in my top 5. Like, I've sat down and kind of I've went to Fanspo and started to put the players in the like big board, but haven't started sorting it yet. But Dillingham is probably top 5 for me. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the question, is how's their game translate to the league? So where's Ron Holland for you then?
Let me bring up my big board. I have him, I think it's around 9 or 10.
What? So explain him. Because it's funny, because I started the year being like, I watched a little bit of him, and I don't get it when he was being projected number 1. Like, I just don't see it at all. And I forget what you said when I said that, but now you having him at 9 and 10 is like kind of confirming what I initially saw to me. So what are your thoughts?
I have him at 9 currently. One, I think he's going to measure it like 6'6", and that takes away a lot of the intrigue for me.
Let's
If
say
he's not
6'6" and
6'6".
a half.
Yeah, I still
Barefoot.
if he's not at least 6'7.5" barefoot, I think it just takes away a lot of intrigue. And the shooting, dude, I can't with the shooting. Like, he had some good games earlier in the season, and I thought maybe he was starting to figure out his 3-point shot. I did see him create more than I thought he was. That was something that he really needed to work on. And he has gotten better at creation a little bit, but it's not going in the basket, and it's starting to worry me. And that team is just desperate for people who can score, because they're losing like every game. So I do still like him as a solid defender, and I think he could still figure out the offensive stuff, which would make him a really good pick if he doesn't go in the top 5, obviously. But I don't know. Something about him, combined with the fact that I like the upside of some of these other guys, it doesn't jump out of the page to me.
For me, I think he'll be able to get to the rim. I think he'll be able to slash. He'll be able to defend.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be harder to get to the rim if he's not hitting threes, of course. But like athleticism, I like him as an athlete.
Yeah.
He's just not like number 1 pick. When I said I like at the start of the year, I didn't understand it. It was when he was projected as a number 1 pick. I watched him. I just didn't really get how he was a number 1 pick. I still have a hard time dropping him as low as that, because if the shot ever comes around, like, he has a ton of upside.
Yeah.
Like if he can knock down threes well enough to get people to play out on him, assuming he's 6'6", 6'7", he's a 3-man that can run pick and roll, will be able to get to the rim, good athlete, and defensively could be a 2-way star. Like, there's not many 2-way star 3-men in the league, and being able to take a chance on a guy that has that level of upside makes it hard to pass up on him outside the first 3-4 picks for me.
Yeah, I have Matas at 8. I just don't know what to do with the G League guys, man. I watch them, I get so frustrated with those guys, and that I could be way undervaluing them, but they just don't.
I have Holland over Matas.
Yeah, I mean, they're really close, but
Matas was supposed to be a shooter, and he is not shooting the 3-ball well at all.
Yeah, I mean, he had an ankle injury, I think. In its sense, that he's been terrible, but
I mean, even at the start of the year, 1 for 4, 0 for 3, 0 for 4 from 3. Like,
yeah,
I know you missed the first part of the G League season. Like, he just has not. Free throw percentage 79% is like fine. It's just if he's not able to shoot, he's not a good defensive prospect. Where's his value come in? It's not like he's playmaking at a great level in the G League. Like, he has major red flags for me. And coming into the season, I was like, he was getting number 1 pick buzz, and I didn't understand it either, just because of the red flags. This is what I said even before these guys started playing in the G League. Like, there's legitimate red flags with the prospects at the top of the draft this year. And so far, all of those like worries about red flags with these prospects for me have been completely confirmed. So Buzelis is intriguing because he can handle the ball at his size and should be a better shooter than this. But with him, he needs the second half of the G League season. He needs to shoot better than this. That's going to determine where he gets drafted.
Absolutely. I do have more faith in him than Filipowski, though.
Yeah.
Even though Filipowski's been a much better shooter so far.
So who else do you have over Holland and Buzelis? Let me guess. Walter?
I have Walter at 6, yes.
Risa Shea?
No, I'm still really high on Isaiah Collier. I still have him 5th.
Yeah.
So that just leaves. I think Collier is gonna be a stud in the NBA. But that just leaves number 7 is the only person that I haven't mentioned yet. That Dillingham at 3, Cody Williams at 4.
Yeah.
This is another one, guys.
This is your other draft crush with
I mean,
Salon?
I've mentioned him before, but the Blazers are going to take Salon at 5 and this guy at 10. Okay, no one else has him close to this. Okay, but I do. So I might be stupid. I might be crazy. But it's my guy Ulrich Chomchi, dude.
Chomchi.
I freaking love this guy, man. I want to put him even higher than 7th.
Chomchi.
People are sleeping on this guy, man.
Yeah. Why is he slept on? He's very young. You're liking the guys that are draft age of like 18 years old. Huh?
Yes, dude.
International players.
He's in the African Basketball Academy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this guy is he's got size. I think he's going to be a power forward. And I think if you pair him with Saloon, I think that would be like an amazing front court for a decade. And man,
So is he like a 7-footer? How tall is he?
I'd say he looks closer to like 6'9", 6'10". I don't think he's a center. I think he's a power forward right now. But dude, I freaking love this guy, and I think his form looks really good. His his percentages might not be great, but his shooting form looks really nice. He's a great rebounder, a great shot blocker, and I just think he's going to be super athletic, defensive-minded NBA forward. And I think his shot looks, him and Saloon, I think their shot looks great, and I think it's going to. I think they're going to play well in the NBA.
Interesting. I'll have to do some research on him.
Dude, I freaking love this guy, man. There's another guy though. It's hard to find like too much footage on him, you know.
You like the guys that are hard to find footage on.
I know. Well, in this draft, I do because
all the footage on all the other guys makes you worry
But,
about them.
but I mean, if we go back to 2013, it's not like there was a ton of film on like Giannis and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna find the next Giannis, yeah, like.
I just want to find like what if we hit on both of those and they're both good and they're both like mesh. I think they mesh perfect with each other at the 3 and the 4, and then we just have to find our center, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about Chomsky. Like,
yeah,
I know next to nothing.
He's supposed to be.
I've watched some.
He's supposed to be the best Cameroon prospect since Embiid.
Yeah.
Siakam wasn't really highly thought of, but yeah, I was reading a lot about him too. So he was 11 and he was like the tallest player or the tallest person in his class, and so he had to be talked into playing basketball. Mm-hmm. And then he learned that he was going to have to, if he was going to make it long term, like playing in the NBA or whatever, he'd have to learn English. So he taught himself how to speak English and stuff. So yeah, it was a really cool story. But yeah.
See, like, I have no problem with him top 7 because every other prospect seems safer.
That 3.3 assists, dude. Like, he can pass a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing, just look at his stats though. 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like seeing that on a stat sheet with a 6'11" dude is just like I have to watch him to see like
right,
because that's kind of wild to see. And it's 3 games in NBA Academy. I've never watched the NBA Academy, so that's gonna be a hard guy to judge too, I think. So that's an interesting one for sure. But any guy with size that moves well with athleticism that can dribble a little bit, shoot a little bit, and pass a little bit is super intriguing. I mean, Giannis, that's exactly what he was. Was he moved well, was shifty, was 6'9", could handle, could pass, and was like a decent athlete. And then he like grew, I think, right after he's drafted, and then put on a ton of muscle. and that was that. Like that he was a superstar. So, find the next guy is going to be hard because the league has like learned from stories like that, and now can put more resources into scouting guys like that. But if he's the next Giannis, I don't know. Dalton Connect, you said you watched him. He had 36.
Yeah. He was fantastic.
His measurements are going to be interesting. Like, if he's big enough to play the 3, he's a sniper, 40%. Like, is it crazy to me to think he's, like, could be the next Jaime Jaquez? Like, decent athlete, like, 6'6" forward that can shoot and is just kind of crafty?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think
that's the thing I'm trying to think about is, like, the older prospects that seem like just safe picks that will probably be role players, but have more upside than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Because like Jaime Jaquez, I think, was that player, and I think, a little too sour on Jaime Jaquez. Yeah. I just thought he'd be like, he'd be an okay player, that's it.
I mean, Jaime looks like a number 2 on a good team / maybe fringe number 1 at times. So I don't know if I could call like a fringe first round pick that, but I mean that's what Jaime was too at the time. But
I mean, he makes shots. He gets to his spots and makes shots.
Yeah, dude, his shooting was unreal, and he
is a first round prospect in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Tristan da Silva, I think, is a first round prospect. I don't know if you've paid more attention to him recently, but I think Tristan da Silva is a first round prospect. He shoots the ball way too well at his size and passes it well enough, and is just solid. Like, not a ton of upside, but should be able to play a role in the league.
Yeah, I think he's fringe first round. Yeah,
I see him in college, and he's more impressive to me than Chris Murray was last year. Because he does more. He's more of a passer, can handle a little more creative, and has the shooting.
Defense is good, but
I mean, can he play his way into being okay? Like, he's not the greatest athlete.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Da Silva, I think, is back in first round. There is a dude from. So I watched, like, Big Board Hoop Intellect. I watched pretty much all his stuff. So his big boards are really interesting this time of year, just to put me on to, like, new prospects that maybe I hadn't heard of, because he'll normally have a couple guys that he's seen that he likes. And there was this dude from Cal that was, like, 6'7" and shifty. And you know me, I love, like, movement pattern guys.
Yeah.
I forget what his name was, though.
I know what you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And, like, could pass a little bit.
Yeah.
Him, and then there's a dude from Florida State that I want to watch more of. I forget his name. I'm blanking on names. Like, I'm just looking for guys that, like, move well, have flashes of playmaking, decent athletes, and, like, can handle the ball a little bit with size to play the 3. It's kind of the archetype that I'm looking at right now.
I think Jameer Watkins is the Florida State guy.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Watkins, yes.
And then
I don't know if you've watched any of him, but he's somebody I need to watch more of, because on the surface he's intriguing to me.
I watched a couple of Florida State games earlier in the season, and I don't know why, but it's not someone I noticed that much, but I was mostly focused on Baba Miller. So I have to go back and focus more on him, because I tend to focus on one player, like off ball and stuff, and when I watch a game. But
trying to find the Cal guy.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I don't remember his name. Deron Holmes is a first round talent.
Yeah, I'm at like 15 on my board.
Yeah, he is definitely 100% a first round talent. He's taken strides everywhere. I feel like he needed to take strides this year. And I like that they're like forcing him to play make a little bit and play like a wing almost at times.
Yeah. Was it Tyson?
What's his first name?
Jalon or something?
I think so, yeah. I don't know. I think so. But like I haven't watched any Cal games, of course, because it's Cal. So
I didn't think I needed to watch any Cal games. What do you think of Hoop Intellect having your guy Topic at second?
I do not understand the Topic love. So where do you have Topic?
Just a second. I'm gonna find that guy.
I'll find him. I'll find him.
Adama Ball, I need to watch another Santa Clara guy, man.
Yeah, Jalen Tyson. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. Because he had him at 44. He's listed 6'7", and he was a guy just legitimately just watch clips in that video, but just like movement pattern in some of the pull-up shooting was kind of intriguing on the surface. Obviously, need to watch him, but
I have Topic 10.
okay. And then Risa Shea, have you been able to watch any of him? Because he's getting a ton of buzz. But
I have 11, so I need to do it.
He played against Salon. He's played against Salon before, so if you can find those games.
Yeah. I've only watched highlights, so like I said, I like to watch a game, but yeah.
This time of year, it's like first impressions off of highlights for multiple guys, and then like have refined opinions after being able to watch more legitimate stuff.
Yeah.
But like with me, with like movement pattern and stuff, you can kind of tell off highlights if a guy moves, like how a guy moves, and that's kind of what I start off with. Find guys that intrigue me based on that, and then go from there.
Yep.
But everybody's big boards are just all over the place right now, man. There is no consensus. I think Dylan Jones is a first round prospect. He's been rising though. I was saying that earlier in the season, and he's just too productive. I like guys, as I said, 6'6". We'll see what he measures, but he's super strong. So if he can play the 3 and play make and rebounds phenomenally and has been hitting threes and uses his body really well when he drives and finishes, gets to the line, how is that not a back-end first-round talent? The only thing is, like, he's older, and if he's, like, 6'4.5".
Yeah. I think, like I've been saying before with him, I think he's just a little bit of a tweener. I think that's what's hurting him is he's got a power forward game. I don't know if he's quick enough to play small forward in the NBA. And if he does measure less than 6'6", it's going to be really hard to see him being anything. It's just hard to find him at a position.
Yeah, I think as long as he can play the 3, I think he's fine.
Yeah, I don't think he can, though. That's his problem. I really like him a lot, but I don't think he can play the 3 in the NBA.
It's not due to rebounding or strength.
No, definitely not.
To being able to contest shots, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, Josh Hart is, 6'4.5"? He plays some 3. Like, I don't know. He just feels like a guy that'll figure it out to me. But yeah. I tend to worry more about tweeners in like the power forward center range than like the 3-4.
Yeah.
Like the 2-3-4 range. Because the league has gone smaller. And if you're drafting a guy back in the first round, you could just be looking for a bench player. I think a bench player that is a little undersized as the 3 is fine, especially if they have strength and can rebound to make up for it. So I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of another guy I used to like, and that's Roddy White.
Roddy White?
Or Roddy, what's his name?
David Roddy?
David Roddy. Why did I say Roddy White?
Roddy White.
David Roddy, yeah.
Yeah, David Roddy ended up going in the first round, too. He just... Yeah. They do have some similarities. They have a lot of similarities, actually. But
they can score the ball, but they're a little bigger.
Yeah, I think Dylan Jones might have a little better guard skills, though.
Yeah.
So, I don't just like him because he went to Weber State either. But anyway, I think that's about it for a prospect roundup, unless there's anybody else you want to speak on.
Nope.
Alrighty.
Just do yourself a favor and go watch some Ulrich Chomsky.
Eric loves himself some Chomsky, man.
I do, man.
Some Chomsky.
Some TJ and some Ulrich, dude. Our front court of the future would be so fun with Tamani and
Ibu Baji.
If we get Daron in the second round.
It's probably more likely we get Chomsky in the second round than Daron.
Oh, dude, he's gonna move out draft boards. Watch.
Yeah. Do we have 2 second round picks? Yeah, we have the 34th and 38th picks right now. 34th and 38th picks.
It's not Chauncey, it's Chomsky with an M, not an N.
Chomche.
So no, it's not Chauncey.
Yeah, Chauncey wants Chomsky. That would be confusing.
Or maybe it's just Chomch.
Chomch.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing either of their names right.
Royce White. What a name. Yeah, Roddy White was a receiver, right? Yeah. Wasn't Roddy White a receiver? The Falcons receiver.
Falcons. Yeah.
Anyway, anything else for this postgame?
Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. We'll have Blazers Uprise live at some point tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow, Monday, Blazers Uprise live.
It's a weird day with the earlier games.
Yeah, we're just gonna pick the 5 games that'll start after it starts. If that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Just the easiest way to do it. I'm trying to hang on to the number 1, number 1 seed or whatever.
And then after that, we don't play again until Wednesday, so have a couple days off.
Yep. Did we thank Jack M's $2 donor that said go look at the 2000 draft before saying his words? Okay, cool. Shout out to him. Yeah, shout out to him. Okay. We'll take a couple final questions and then we'll head out of here. Chat, if you have any final questions, we'll answer them. End off this stream. Right.
Chad says, I hope Grant and Brogdon are gone this week. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they're gone that quick, but...
Timeline for trade stuff, what are you kind of expecting to be like the earliest guys could get dealt?
Well, we saw another trade today.
Yeah, garbage for garbage.
For trade, but I think Brogdon could happen at any point, especially if it's the Knicks, because I'm sure they'd want him sooner rather than later. So that could happen at any point. I don't think that's based on anything. Jeremy, I think we will wait till closer to the trade deadline. I don't even know if we're going to trade him or not. But if we do think about moving him, I think we'll wait to try and maximize value as we get closer to the deadline.
Yeah.
And maybe even wait for a Siakam trade for kind of to set the value. not saying we'll get equal value what they're getting for Siakam. Will be interesting though, an expiring Siakam, better player, but you have to worry about losing him in free agency versus someone you would be trading for and have locked up for 4.5 more years. So I do think there's going to be several teams that miss out on Siakam that still want to go for it, that would give up more value after they miss out on Siakam. So I think that's kind of dependent on, one, if the Blazers are even going to deal him, and two, what the kind of trade market is for some of the other power forwards.
Yep. Alrighty. Sorry, I just got to take care of something real quick.
Truly Spencer says, here's a crazy idea. How about we let our young players get minutes and continue to develop? Murray and Repair look good tonight.
Crazy idea.
I agree, man.
Insane
We talked about this earlier in the stream. I think games like this show we can still be competitive. It can still look like we're fielding a good team and stuff, but it could be more focused on getting the players that need to get minutes right now. So deal everyone that's over 25, basically.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, if you don't mind, thank you, Jason Hawley, for mentioning to hit the like button on your way out. And thank you, everyone, for watching tonight.
Yep, and before we get out of here, once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this post-game show. They are giving away Super Bowl tickets, and this is how you can win. First, you place a bet on any NFL line and share your bet slip on X/Twitter, minimum of $25. Second, you tag at BetUS official as shown on the screen and the friend you're inviting to the Super Bowl. Eric wants you to tag him because he wants to go to the Super Bowl with you. And third, use hashtag BetUS LVIII. That's all you have to do to enter to win Super Bowl tickets to the Super Bowl this year in Las Vegas in February. This ends on January 25th, so you want to get in before the contest is over. There's 2 NFL games tomorrow for you to bet on for this. 2 playoff games. One was moved from today to tomorrow in Buffalo. And then you got the Eagles and the Buccaneers. 2 good matchups there. So if you use our link in the description box below, it'll give you 125% deposit match, so you can get extra money to put on the line for any of those games if you want to. And then, of course, it's also a great way to bet on any prospects that you're watching, any games that you're scouting, so that those can be a little bit more fun, a little bit more emotionally investing in a way. So shout out to BetUS for sponsoring our post-game show. Make sure you use that link in the description. And with that being said, Eric, we'll catch the people tomorrow on Blazers Uprise Live on our second channel. That is also linked down in the description box below. We'll be picking 5 games for picks against the spread. And we'll also talk about any latest Blazer news, maybe some trades, get a little bit more into trade talk on Blazers Uprise Live. And then Tuesday we have off, so it's 2 days of rest before the next game, which is at home against the Brooklyn Nets, who the Blazers just beat. We'll see if they can beat them again. They're the only team they've beat in 2024. Maybe it'll stay that way. We'll see. But anyway, thank you, everyone, for joining and supporting the channel. We appreciate you, as always. And with that being said, we're out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.